Good morning. Hello. Let's see, is that working? Good morning. Members, this is the Motor Vehicle Subcommittee on Driver Safety and Services. Today we have two bills on the agenda. The first bill we're going to take up is House Bill 466 by Representative Chairman Alan Powell. Chairman, please confirm your LC number for the record and present your bill. That's correct, Mr. Chairman. That is the one we've got.
I've only got 4 copies that I think the chairman has been fiddling with, but they're all about the same.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the clarification.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, I bring to you this bill this morning. I've done a driving school bill in quite a while.
Mr. Chairman, if you could raise your mic. There you go. Thank you for the stream. Thank you very much.
I didn't realize we really needed a mic. We're all so close and cuddly in here today. But hadn't brought a bill to y'all in quite a while. I used to do a lot of these bills. As I looked at the cleanup language in this bill, it tells me that how hastily we did things or how we used to do things different over the years. But these code sections that deal with driving schools and the DUI stuff was so cumbersome. But when you look through this bill, the vast majority of this bill that you're going to look at is really cleanup language, of doing away with antiquated language and such like that. If you look at Section 1, there's only 3 or 4 main points of this bill. Section 1, it changes the DUI school curriculum from 20 to 16 hours. This has been offered up because the main psychological group that does these tests or the curriculum for DUI school, they have now gone to 16 hours. Previous at 20 hours, a DUI suspect had to go to school 3 different nights, and usually by the 4th night, when they were down to 4 hours, then usually they were ready to take a drink. So what they've done is they've cut it to 16 hours. They've made it more consolidated and more concise, so that in the real world, the DUI schools, most of these folks go to DUI schools on Saturday and Sunday nights. So what this does is a straight up 8 hours at each night, so as to be more appealing to these folks, to get them in there, to try to work on their head a little bit through that course. And this is being recommended by the psychological testers and the folks that draft these tests. I think it's PRI that does most of the states. And that's the group that are doing this. So what we're doing away with actually 4 hours that really didn't mean a whole lot other than more punishment than it was anything to be there. That's in Section 1. Section 2, this would allow in this new normal that we're living in, this allows the driving schools to use a Zoom platform, so that if they're teaching students that they can use the Zoom platform. This would allow that. Cleanup language. You got cleanup language on Section 3, Section 4, Section 5, Section 6, except when you get to Section 6, a lot of that's cleanup language, but it's licensing, that licensed schools can provide road tests to 17-year-olds that aren't currently student. Right now, the Department of Driver Services allows certain schools to administer the driving test to their students. This would allow them, under the scrutiny of the Department of Driver Services, that they could then test other 17-year-old and older students that aren't necessarily a student in their driving school. Cleanup language on 7. Section 8 was cleanup language because that moves the Leg Council. They decided to move some of this language from Title 40 to 43. Section 9 is cleanup language for the CDL schools. It has no effect. It just moves this to another code section and cleans it up, since CDL schools fall under the federal jurisdiction, DDS and federal jurisdiction. Cleanup language again in section 10. In section 11, it allows third-party testing schools. It allows those instructors that are doing third-party testing, where right now those instructors have to have 2 years of experience. This allows them to have 2 years of experience, allows them to be able to do testing with 6 months of experience. And a lot of this, I think, has to do with the fact that with this COVID virus, they're really having a lot of problems finding instructors. A lot of them just don't like to be in a vehicle and things like that. And then on section 12, this basically just gives notice to the DDS when there's a change of ownership. Now, when I talk about, when I make the comment about cleanup, let me tell you something. As y'all all know, been on this committee for a while, a lot of these sections in motor vehicle, it ain't very sexy, but it's certainly complicated. And you're looking at probably 30 years of language that's been added on to and all of that. And Leg Council decided in this bill to take what we were hoping was going to be a short, simple bill. And they've done a lot of cleanup, moving code sections, getting rid of redundancies, and cleaning up the language. And that, gentlemen, is what this bill is all about. And I'm thinking there's some testimony, maybe, I'm not sure. They probably talk about it better than I can because they're in the business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we move on from there, does anybody have a question for the chairman? Okay. Representative Wiedauer.
I just wanted to clarify on section 6, you said 17. I'm going to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. 150 through 167. You were referring to lets them do 17 years old, and everything on here says 18. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing.
Let's see. I'm working off of 2 different versions. Somebody didn't tell me they had another substitute this morning.
Gotcha.
Before I got here.
I'll refrain, and we'll
No,
see
let
see
me
what
look, see.
Representative Ridley has to say.
Okay. Representative Ridley.
Anyway, yeah, I think on line 163 and line 156, there was, no, just line 163, of course, as applicant, 18 years of age, we'll change that to 17.
Okay. So it looks like you want to make a change to line 163 at 18 years old, and the other one on 166 at 18 years old as well. Is that correct? 17 years old. Okay. We'll take a amendment in just a moment. Anybody else have any questions for the chairman? Okay. Do we have anybody here sign up to speak to the bill? Okay. Looks like we have Mr. Barry Shrink from Taggart Driving School, which is to speak to the bill.
Morning, gentlemen. As subcommittee chair has said, my name is Barry Schrank, president of Taggart's Driving School. I've represented the Georgia Association of Risk Reduction and Defensive Driving Educators for almost 40 years here at the Capitol. And Chairman Powell is exactly correct. There has been a lot of changes over the last 30 years, and probably a major portion of this bill is cleanup language, even taking some language from Title 40 and putting in Title 43 where it belongs. So there's really no reason to read that unless you just can't fall asleep at night. In any event, Chairman Powell explained it very, very well. It is confusing. I'll just give you a little bit of an example. back in 1995, the House Motor Vehicle Committee heard the first bill to allow private driving schools to do the road test. And at that time, I spoke to, he wasn't a chairman then, but I spoke to Chairman Powell about that bill because all across Canada and in a number of states in the United States, driving schools with certain qualifications could do the road test. Well, that was a brand new idea in 1995 in the state of Georgia, and it wasn't until 2004 that Chairman Tom Rice of the House Motor Vehicle Committee called me and said, you know, that's a pretty good idea, and circumstances are right, and I think maybe we need to allow the schools to do some road tests. Can you write that bill? And I said, hold on. Came back about a minute and a half later from my file, and I said, I got the bill right here. All I got to do is change the dates. So that's what happened in 2000 after a testing period with several schools around the state. We were then allowed, if a driving school taught a complete driver education program, 30 hours of classroom, 6 hours behind the wheel, and met very stringent standards. No problems with the department, no cheating, no unethical behaviors, all that sort of thing. Schools have been allowed since 2005 to give the road test to students who complete our driver education program. A couple of years ago, the law changed, and it then said if you were 18 years of age or older and you wanted to take, otherwise qualified, you wanted to take the road test with the driving school, you could. And we've been doing that for the last couple of years without any problems at all. Incidentally, there are about 70 schools across the state that provide the road test service to their driver ed students and students 18 years of age or older. So basically, the 17-year-olds were left out because under the current state law, 17-year-olds don't have to do anything different than 25-year-olds or 50-year-olds to get the license. So that's the reason we want to change that from 18 to 17. That way we can provide full service. So I will tell you that our state has been very fortunate because those rules and regulations, most of which were in the original bill in 1995, are part of the rules and regulations of the department, and the schools are very closely monitored, and we've had a lot of good successes with that program. So along comes a pandemic, and all of a sudden the Department of Driver Services doesn't have enough people. They won't show up to do road tests. They're handing out driver's licenses on the internet, and we saw an opportunity to expand what we're doing. Instead of just being allowed to test teenagers in the driver ed program or 18 years of age or older who have taken 6 hours of lessons with us as a minimum, why do we force people to do that? Maybe the average person, adult, doesn't want to take any lessons. Someone else has taught them to drive and done well when they were teaching them. And so this would allow us to do the road test for anyone who walks in and is otherwise qualified. Incidentally, we do not issue the license. We give them the test, and then we give them a document saying that they have passed the state road test. All of the examiners in this program at the present time have 2 years' experience as a driving instructor, and and they give the road test after additional training, a full day's training with the Department of Driver Services. So we give the same test. We use the same documents in the car that the state does. At the end of the test, if they pass, and we have the same fail rate, pass rate as the state does, we give them a document, and they take it down to the department, walk in. There's always someone standing at the door. They say, hi, I'm here to get my driver's license. Here's my document from Taggart's Driving School that I passed the test. And usually what they say, see that line over there where there's just one person in it? Go on over there and get your driver's license. It's that quick. So it works out real well. It's not mandatory. Applicants can still go to the Department of Driver Services and get the test for free. We charge for it, obviously, but there are a lot of people who are willing to pay for it to get the kind of service that we provide. So that's the main thing that we're going to do. And basically, as the chairman stated, at the present time, an instructor who wants to be an examiner has to be an instructor for 2 years. That was part of the original law when we wrote that, so that we made sure that everybody was going to be above board and very ethical. It's not necessary. I would suggest that the department in a couple of days puts an examiner behind the wheel at the testing station, And what we're saying is, once one of our instructors has had a license for 6 months, and we pretty much know who he is or who she is, and also the other part of that has taught at least 500 hours in the car, which is easy to do in 6 months, that they could apply for an instructor's license, get trained by the department, and then start giving the road test. So we're ready to go to that step. And as the chairman mentioned, the language, 6 or 8 months ago, I couldn't spell Zoom. Now that's what we do. Most of our students take our classroom, the 30 hours of classroom, is on Zoom. All our instructors are trained on it. Got the documents up on Google Docs and everything else. And I was a little concerned about it when I first saw that program. And then one of my instructors, who's very good with that stuff, put the program together, sat through the whole 30 hours. It blew my mind. I thought it was better than the classroom program, to be honest with you. So, so that's what we want to do. Let me see if there's anything else in there that I need to mention quickly. I think that's everything, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Strink. I believe you do have one question. Chairman Corbin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rank. My understanding, DDS, everybody's fine with what this bill is attempting to accomplish.
I've
Is that my
called over
understanding?
there and left my name and telephone number. They usually call me back. They have not called me back. There's no one here today. I'm sure they've read the bill. I will not speak for them, but I've worked with them for a number of years. I mean, I've even helped with their legislation, get some stuff passed. And so I pretty much know what they will do and what they won't do. And I think this fits into their plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak to the bill? Okay. The subcommittee is now in a posture to take a motion. Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Representative Wiedauer. Is there a second? Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion or amendments? Any amendments?
Oh, yes, sir. I'd like to amend line 163, change the 18 to 17 years old, and also line 166, change 18 to 17 years old.
Okay, we have an amendment, and for the record, that is on line 163, striking the number 18 and replacing it with 17, and on line 166, striking the number 18 and replacing it with 17. Is that correct? Okay. We have an amendment. Do we have a motion? We have a motion from Representative Wiedauer. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? All members who are in favor of the amendment, please vote by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment passes. We go back to the question. We have a second on the motion. All members who are in favor of the bill, please vote by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill passes. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. Your bill moves to full committee. In the morning. Thank you, sir. Okay, the next bill is going to be, let's see, House Bill 453 by Representative Warren McDonald. Representative McDonald, if you'll come forward and present your bill. And please confirm your LC number for the record.
Mr. Chairman, this is House Bill 453, LC 392828.
Thank you. Please present your bill.
Actually, when I went to Leg Council to talk about this bill, House Bill 453, we went in just to really change on line 14, one word, which changed from striking personal transportation to adding purposes unrelated to their role as a firefighter. What this bill does is allow a firefighter who works one day and off two, if he's got a landscape company or a sole ownership of like an electrical company, that his vehicle that he drives every day back and forth to work, to the fire station, that he drives on his off days, that he'll be able to put a firefighter tag on that vehicle. Currently, if it's owned by his LLC, he cannot. Some clarification that I researched: a firefighter tag is assigned to an individual. It's not assigned to a company. So if when you have a vehicle and you sell that vehicle or get a new vehicle and you want to put that tag on it, that number always stays with you. It doesn't go with a car. So it can be moved around. And I mean, firemen take pride in that tag. They've had them, especially the older firemen have had those low numbers. They want to keep that tag with them. So they're going to move that from vehicle to vehicle. There was some question, if this tag would go with a vehicle and get abused, but no, it's a single tag that stays with that individual. As you look through the bill, you'll see where Lead Council went in and did do some cleanup of some words. You'll see where they changed local tag to county tag agent. They also clarified about some retirement with the tag, that with technology now, that it says that they will add retired. If you're a retired fireman, they will add that to that tag, so that you're not having to go back every year and get a letter from a chief saying you're a retired fireman. It's going to stay with that tag number that you are retired. If you do become an active fireman again, that chief has to notify the county tag office that you're back an active fireman, and that retirement comes off. So that was just some of the cleanup that Lead Council did in this bill. But mainly my objective was going in to change line 14.
Thank you, Representative McDonald. Let's see. Does any member have any questions for the representative? Looks like we have. Have one? No. Any other questions? Anybody here sign up, speak to the bill? Okay. This subcommittee is now in a posture to take a motion. Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Representative Wiedauer. Do I have a second? We have a second. All members who are in favor of the bill, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Noes. All right. Ayes have it, and bill's passed. Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Bill moves to full committee.
Thank you.
With that, we are adjourned.